Welcome to this Learning Planet module on showing empathy. Empathy is the ability to connect to others in a deep and direct way, to sense and stimulate reactions and desired interactions with others. Some people are naturally good at it. However, neuroscience suggests that empathy is connected with our brains and how our brains work. So some people may naturally be better at it than others, but it can be a learnt behaviour. During this module, we're going to look at empathy versus sympathy, building trust and rapport with others, and the benefit of empathy in business, which means for you exploring a whole new world of understanding other people. Have fun, and we'll see you on the next Learning Planet module.
So let's get started. Empathy is proven to be essential for enhancing our interpersonal relationships, overall life satisfaction, and improving our ability to cope. This source suggests it is the most powerful leadership tool to have. So why aren't we training people at all levels more in empathy skills? Part of this might be that empathy is difficult to define and measure. Empathy is often confused with sympathy and often misunderstood as being a key competence we need to have and can develop. A formal definition of empathy is the ability to identify and understand another's situation, feelings, and motives. It's our capacity to recognize the concerns other people have. Empathy means putting yourself in the other person's shoes or seeing things through someone else's eyes. We don't normally think, see, or perceive the world as other people do, and we spend a lot of our time operating within our own way of thinking, expecting everyone else to be operating from the same paradigm. We all know that everyone is different and that some people are more difficult to deal with than others. In sales, it is often said that people buy from people. So imagine if you were really able to read people and turn that into a business benefit by selling to them or managing them more effectively. Empathy is a powerful tool for you to do just that. It can improve the lives of individuals and change the fortunes of the organizations they work for. We are all a blend of these personality desires, but typically 2 or 3 are dominant in us and drive most of our reactions and decisions. Empathy will help you better understand your own personality and to quickly recognize dominant desires in others. Empathy and trust are a platform for effective understanding. They are essential to develop solutions and essential for handling complaints and retaining customers. These days, we need to be more effective communicators to be successful in business and in life. The steps of the sale, persuasion, closing techniques, features and benefits do not build rapport or relationships. Empathy, trust, understanding and sympathetic communications do. Questions to discuss. What are 3 ways you can show empathy in your workplace? Describe a time you had to show empathy to a customer in your role. What was the outcome as a result? Pause the video now to discuss these questions and write the answers in your workbook. Press play when you're ready to resume. Part of the empathy process is establishing trust and rapport, which helps us to have sensible discussions. Establishing trust is about listening and understanding, not necessarily agreeing, which is different, with the other person. It's listening without judging. A useful focus to aim for when listening to another person is to try to understand how the other person feels and to discover what they want to achieve. Experiencing empathy requires a Jedi mind trick of sorts, albeit one we do to our own minds. It involves directing our awareness to a place our mind does not go of its own accord, to what it feels like to be another person, lingering there for a moment so we register the emotional and cognitive landscape, and then returning to our own reality. Let's use the following example. We call our bank's customer hotline to dispute a late fee. We're annoyed about the situation, but we know that if we want to be effective and get the fee waived, we must manage our anger. Since empathy is a way to manage our emotions in complaining situations, we decide to test our empathy and give it a try. We could consider how it might feel to be the bank representative by thinking of how we feel in our own jobs, but that would be misleading. We have to taste the other person's world and register their landscape, which means we must take the time to paint that landscape as fully as we can. In this case, we should imagine what it's like to sit in a small cubicle all day facing a computer that dictates to us almost everything we do and say. We have to imagine we are possibly low-salaried employees, maybe single parents, or students working to pay for university. We have to envision spending our days dealing with frustrated and angry customers, getting yelled at regularly, called horrible names and not being able to respond in kind for fear of losing our jobs. And then, even before our heart rate slows down from the last abusive caller, another call comes in. A customer complaining about a computer-generated late fee. That's us. Questions to discuss. How can you exercise more empathy? How can you build trust and rapport with customers? Pause the video now to discuss these questions and write the answers in your workbook. Press play when you're ready to resume. Of all the communication skills, listening is arguably the one which makes the biggest difference. The most brilliant and effective speaker ultimately comes undone if he or she fails to listen properly. Listening does not come naturally to most people, so we need to work hard at it, to stop ourselves jumping in and giving our opinions. Mostly, people don't listen. They just take turns to speak. We all tend to be more interested in announcing our own views and experiences than really listening and understanding others. This is ironic, since we all like to be listened to and understood. Stephen Covey says rightly that when we are understood, we feel affirmed and validated. He also coined the expression, "Seek first to understand, and then to be understood," which serves as a constant reminder for the need to listen to the other person before you can expect them to listen to you. You are listening with full attention to the sounds and all the other relevant signals from the people you are interacting with, including tone of voice, other verbal aspects, for example, pace, volume, breathlessness, flow, style, emphasis, facial expression, body language, cultural or ethnic or other aspects of the person which would affect the way their communications and signals are affecting you, and an overall appreciation of how the other person is feeling. You are also reacting and giving feedback and checking understanding with the speaker. You'll be summarizing and probably taking notes and agreeing the notes too if it's an important discussion. You will be honest in expressing disagreement, but at the same time expressing genuine understanding, which hopefully, if you're listening, empathy is of a decent standard, will keep emotions civilized and emotionally under control even for very difficult discussions. Empathy is the ability to experience the feelings of another person. It goes beyond sympathy, which is caring and understanding for the suffering of others. Here are a few practical tips you might consider to help you build empathy. Listen. Truly listen to people. Listen with your ears, eyes, and heart. Pay attention to others' body language, to their tone of voice, to the hidden emotions behind what they are saying to you, and to the context. Don't interrupt people. Don't dismiss their concerns offhand. Don't rush to give advice, and don't change the subject. Allow people their moment. Tune in to non-verbal communication. This is the way that people often communicate what they think or feel, even when their verbal communication says something quite different. Most of the impact of our communication comes across in the tone of our voice and our body language. It's important to spend some time to understand how we come across when we communicate with others about our feelings and attitudes. Use people's names. Also, remember the names of people's partners and children so that they can be referred to by name. Be fully present when you are with people. Don't check your email, look at your watch, or take phone calls when a direct report drops into your office to talk to you. Put yourself in their shoes. How would you feel if your boss did that to you? Smile at people. Encourage people, particularly the quiet ones, when they speak up in meetings. A simple thing like an attentive nod can boost people's confidence. Questions to discuss. We're going to look at a showing empathy plan. In your workbook, you'll find this plan on the last page. It includes ways that you will use communication skills more effectively in empathetic situations, 2 things you will focus on to improve your empathy skills, and you'll also find a link to an empathy test you can take, record your score in your workbook, and compare it in a month's time. Pause the video now to discuss these questions and write the answers in your workbook. Press play when you're ready to resume. Congratulations! You've completed this module on learning how to show empathy. Let's have a quick recap. In this module, we covered what is empathy, how to experience empathy, empathetic listening, and empathy versus sympathy. Showing your empathetic side is a key life skill that you'll use time and time again. Thanks for embarking on this journey on showing empathy. We look forward to seeing you on the next Learning Planet video module.